How much money do Americans have in their bank accounts in 2025? Americans are under immense financial pressure. While inflation is evening out, prices for many everyday expenses remain high, and high interest rates are leading to larger mortgage and car payments for many consumers. With the cost of living so elevated, many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and may not be able to keep as much money in their bank accounts as they should. To better understand how the current economy is impacting Americans' bottom line, Gilbert Kingrate surveyed more than 1,000 adults from all across the country to find out how much Americans have in their savings and checking accounts, and the results were alarming. Here's what we discovered. Key findings: half of Americans have less than $500 in savings, with 39% having $250 or less in savings. The largest portion of Americans, 40%, keep a minimum balance of $500 or less in their checking account. Most Americans are stressed about their current savings. Over a quarter, 29%, are extremely stressed and 37% are somewhat stressed. How much do Americans have in savings by age? Exploring savings account balances by age group can show how different generations are preparing for their financial future. Hover over each bar for a breakdown by age group. Most Americans have insufficient savings. Experts recommend having 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses saved as an emergency fund, but most Americans are falling far short of this goal. While a quarter of Americans, 25%, have $2,000 or more in a savings account, most have far less. 19% have no savings, 21% have between $1 and $250, and 11% have between $250 and $500. Older Gen Zers and young millennials ages 25 to 34 are the most likely to have no savings, with 23% of this age group reporting that they have nothing saved. Baby boomers ages 65 are the most likely to have sufficient savings, with 42% having over $2,000 in a savings account. Checking account balances are dangerously low. More than 40% of Americans admit to keeping a minimum balance of $500 or less in their checking accounts. Gen X is the most likely generation to keep low checking account balances, with 49% of Americans ages 45 to 50 for keeping a minimum balance of $500 or less. Baby boomers age 65 are most likely to keep higher minimum balances, with 21% keeping a minimum balance of at least $2,000. With many Americans keeping low balances in their checking account, it's not too surprising that over a third of Americans have had an overdraft on their account in the past year. While 24% said they have rarely had an overdraft, another 11% said it happened multiple times. How much do Americans keep in checking accounts? Here's how much Americans say they keep as a minimum balance in their checking accounts. Hover over each bar for a breakdown by age group. Americans are stressed about their savings. With half of Americans having $500 or less in savings, it's no wonder that many Americans are stressed about their bank account balance. The survey found that 29% are extremely stressed about their current savings and 37% are somewhat stressed. Millennials and Gen X are most likely to be extremely stressed about their current savings, with 35% of those ages 35 to 44 and 36% of those ages 45 to 50 for selecting this response. Baby boomers ages 65 are most likely to be confident about their savings, with 19% feeling confident. As the generation most likely to have over $2,000 in savings, this confidence is warranted. How stressed are Americans about their savings? Savings stress hits some age groups harder than others. Find out which generation is feeling the squeeze the most. Hover over each bar for a breakdown by age group. How much should you have in your savings and checking accounts? The exact amount of cash you should keep in your savings and checking accounts will vary from person to person. The right checking and savings balances are unique to your financial situation, said Seth Diener, Client Portfolio Manager and Team Lead at Diener Money Management. Assess your expenses. income stability, and risk tolerance to determine how much you feel comfortable keeping readily available. While the exact amounts needed will depend on the individual, it's likely that the $500 or less many Americans keep in these accounts is not enough. Try to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account for an emergency fund, Diener said. This helps cover unexpected costs without going into debt. If you have under 3 months of expenses saved, make building up your emergency fund a priority. Even small, regular contributions help grow your savings over time. Thanks for watching.